Welcome, dear viewers, to Couch Warrior TV on YouTube. I'm the Couch Warrior, and you are watching The Passage, a Skyrim SE Let's Play featuring Ettient Jorel. Going into the Rift is a very risky gambit, because the Rift is controlled by Stormcloaks, and if ever there was a group that was predisposed to hating High Elves, it's going to be the Stormcloaks. So we have a situation here where he has very few friends. I mean, he's never counted the Thalmor as friends, but they were quote-unquote on his side for a period of time. In other words, they were an ally. We find ourselves now in a situation where he has almost no allies, certainly none in the Rift to speak of. So he is well and truly on his own. He needs to avoid guards. He needs to avoid Stormcloaks. He needs to avoid Thalmor. He needs to avoid Legion soldiers. He's about as alone as a person can get. So what we're going to see, I think, from Ettient is a lot of extra caution, but it's all caution that's well warranted. Because he's now going to be more wanted than ever by the Thalmor, when you think about it, because they want to dispose of him, but now that their surprise has been ruined, that their ambush is screwed up, they're going to be getting tense because they know that Ettient is a guy who's been doing clandestine missions for them for some time and has, well, he doesn't have a lot of insight into their goals. He has information that could be pretty damaging to the Thalmor politically here. So, yeah, it becomes kind of scary when you think about it that way. Well, it becomes scary anyway you think about it, just more scary, I guess. Because he's not exactly in a position where he can like a Legion messenger, maybe. Whoa. Do you see me? Not taking any chances. He is a courier. All right. We better keep moving. Anyway, it makes for a pretty grim situation for our protagonist here. All right. But getting up here in this mountain chain, right, I mean, when you look at the rift from this angle, Looks an awful lot like the kind of environments that Ettient is accustomed to operating in. So, being up here amongst the rocks is probably a tremendous relief from having been down in the lowlands there with all the thick trees and stuff like that. Okay, I can see some rooftops coming up here now. Okay, there's a big structure right there. Our ranger direction sense would tell us that that is a structure that we saw the previous day from the other side, through the fog. Because we actually camped out on that mountain overnight and have come across and around this way. So you can see there's kind of a large bluff there, and then this big bluff here with kind of this low area in between. I think that was kind of that forest lowland that we cut across before. Just trying to keep our bearings. All right. Let's have one more look here. Okay, so this trail goes up there, and it looks like there's a little sliver of road poor foxes. Poor foxes are such the victims in Skyrim, aren't they? Foxes and goats. Looks like this old lady is trying to get to us. I don't know if she's a threat. We'll be ready.
The master has gone, but Dervenin will find him. Dervenin should not have gone. The master has gone, but Dervenin will find him. Dervenin should not have gone.
Great. Good luck finding your master or Dervenin or whoever.
Don't go to the Blue Palace. The master is on vacation. Don't listen to Dervenin. Don't do it.
Blue Palace? Who's Dervenin? Alright. We have to extricate ourselves from this rapidly. Wonder what she meant by that. Dervenin. What does that have to do with the Blue Palace? We've actually been to the Blue Palace a couple of times now. She seems like she's a little bit off her nut, but she's actually mentioning things that are relevant to us. Someone who has spent very little time in Skyrim, but suddenly happens to be familiar with the place she's talking about. That might be a little bit weird. But we will get ourselves up here, away from the crazy, and see what we can see. This is a nice spot. Okay, here we go. This is more like it. This is a good view. Oh, yeah. I see a lot from here. Right through the trees, we can see the rooftops of the city, and we've got a good look now at where the roads are going and where the trails are meeting up with them and all of this stuff. Okay, this is good. So, we'll be marking those on our little map. There's some kind of a old ruin there, maybe. Really? Where is it? All right, Etienne's ready. Taking the bear. Cave bear with daggers only. Not too shabby. This poor guy didn't have enough daggers. Zenithar. Sorry, Zenithar. We're gonna rob you blind. We're gonna take that in payment for killing a cave bear. You're welcome. Wonder what this was. Maybe an old watchtower or something? Back before they built these wooden ones over here? Hard to say. Let's go through here. See if we can send this way. Sure. I don't know. I sort of like this little area here. It's not quite as defensible as the Crow's Nest was, but it sure has some commanding views of the surrounding area. It's possible that it could make a reasonable substitute for the Crow's Nest in the Rift. Perhaps. But one of the things that wolves. One of the things that Etienne is thinking about here is what we're faced with right now is a very different sort of mission than what we had in the Reach. Sometimes I get mixed up and I use Rift and Reach in error. I apologize for that. It's just going to happen. That's the way it is. When I'm playing, I'm always slightly distracted, so there's long pauses sometimes as I'm collecting my thoughts or trying to get through a difficult situation to recollect myself. But I'm just thinking about the differences between what we're doing here in the Rift and what we did in the Reach. First of all, we went into the Reach with a pretty clear plan. We knew what we had to do. We knew who the enemy was. We didn't exactly know where they were, but we had a pretty good idea how to find them. And we were able to do the vast majority of our work without having to get into heavily populated areas. We were able to stay in the wilderness, which is ideal. In this situation, we can't really even determine what our mission is or what our next steps are without first going into a heavily populated town to look for clues. It's a very different scenario. Okay, look at, we've got a road that terminates right here. Yeah, there's somebody there. Probably a guard guarding that back door. Let's get up in here, see if we can sneak around. At this point, Etienne is going to be... So, you know, with that in mind, what we're essentially doing is Etienne is going to recon Riften. We have managed to approach the city from a pretty sneaky angle, right? Kind of came in from the back. But one of the things we got to do is figure out how this place is set up. How is it, what it is, you know, where are the gates? If we cruise around the walls, can we find any locations along the walls that are porous? In other words, places where we could conceivably get in? This is nice. This actually shows us what the layout of the city is without having to go in first, so we can get a better sense for what we're going to encounter, you know, just in terms of roadways and stuff. That's good. Yeah, look at that. You can kind of see everything from here. Gives us a sense of scale, layout, height of the walls. Also, based on the fortifications we see here, got a pretty good idea where the seat of government is, right? All without even going inside. Let's get up in here. All right, nice clear day too. Now we can see the harbor area, which is actually quite a bit larger, I think, than Etienne would have expected. And we see another gate, another road. So we've got 3 major roadways that all seem to terminate at Riften, each with their own separate gates. Good information to have. Something going on over there. Doesn't appear to be any movement. There we go. It's a mage. It's none of our business. But it does present a roadblock if we want to continue looping our way around the city. Alright, let's try to get a little closer and see if we can figure out what is going on. See if we can get across here. There we go. We're not close enough for our instincts to really help us out in this scenario. Oh yeah. There's a lot of dead stuff going on there, though. Could possibly be a necromancer, maybe? Alright, can I ascend over here? Let's go to the knives. They're heavily armored. Okay, back is turned. Shadowstone. We will accept that power. Yeah, it's some pretty cool looking armor. At this point, Ettient is definitely playing for keeps. We're seeing the dark side here. And the way he sees it is now his sister is in imminent danger to his mind because he doesn't know who has her. He doesn't have any kind of agreement to work from. He has nothing. And at this stage, it's playing for keeps, you know? That's the way he views this whole thing. Okay, this is a farmstead. So the question now is, he's got to make some decisions about his approach into the city. And in order to do that, he's got to make what he considers to be a full exploration of the surrounding area, you know? And he can't, in doing that, he can't give away his position. He can't, you know, give away the fact that he's here. He can't leave any witnesses. He can't screw around, you know? All right. They have Spriggans here. Damn. Okay, our ghost walk kicked in. Spriggans can definitely damage a person in a real hurry. I mean, before you even realize it. In that particular case, I think our contingency really helped us out, perhaps. Yes, we ended up back in the same spot we were before. But I think that momentary shot of invisibility may have helped us. Dead blue jay. Dead tree sparrow. All right, so this location gives us a completely different view. Look at that, right there. There's kind of a sewer channel there. We'll definitely want to check that out. All right, I think that the next stage for Ettient is we are going to get a little bit of a rest, and we're going to do it right here. Right on this little island. We're going to wait for nightfall. And then we're going to make our approach to the city, and we're going to get a closer look under cover of darkness.